All right, everyone. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. All right, now, so I'm going to consider this video part 2 now. Part 2 to Accountability Angel being found guilty and going to serve some time. Unfortunate for her that she's going to spend some time with Big Bertha. And maybe both of them can do some audits in there of inmate jail cells and the prison commissary. But this is a video that I had uploaded to my channel a couple of years ago, and I am going to re-upload it where I added some new stuff to it, and I want to share it with you guys. Even the local media was out waiting for her to fall on her ass, and again, pay attention to what the real journalists have to say about this self-proclaimed journalist, and let me know your thoughts on this video, and hey, I'll see you in my next one.
As I wrap up the third year of For the Record, I take a quick look back at some of the bigger stories from this year, 3 in particular, and you're going to hear samples of those For the Record installments from March, July, and October. I'll follow each of the stories with hope for 2022 for those people mentioned in the stories. Hang on. In March, a person who sees herself as a First Amendment hero and crows about it on a YouTube channel got into a tussle at the LaSalle County Courthouse. Now, this person takes it upon herself to antagonize and abuse public employees, including law enforcement officers, bailiffs, security guards, deputies. Now, apparently, in her mind, she employs them, and so apparently she thinks she can mistreat them. She goes to taxpayer-funded places like courthouses and police stations and sheriff's departments, and she goes there exclusively to video what happens there when she walks in with a video camera. Now, any rational person would not intentionally antagonize public safety officers just because she can. And certainly any rational person would not cause such a ruckus at a courthouse that an officer should have to be taken to the hospital, as one did in March in LaSalle County. And then the person claimed that the sheriff had kidnapped her. I mean, who would do all this?
Hello, world. Accountability Angel here.
The Accountability Angel is Angel Farmer. She's accused of battery and obstructing a peace officer when back in March she and her brother Jacob Farmer appeared at the LaSalle County Government Complex, tried to force their way in. They weren't following safety and COVID protocols. Farmer said she was simply trying to turn in a complaint. Now, back when all this happened, Rod Thorson had Angel Farmer on the air during our morning program, and I used parts of that interview to do that week's installment of For the Record. Here's how it sounded on March 14th of this year.
This is 103.9 WLPO's For the Record with Tom Henson.
Official charges have been filed against a sister and brother who were part of a ruckus at the entrance of LaSalle County Criminal Justice Center on Monday. 29-year-old Angel Farmer of Peru is facing 3 counts of battery and 1 count of resisting a peace officer, while 28-year-old Jacob Farmer of Morris is charged with 1 count of resisting an officer. Both are due in court April 12th. The sheriff's office says that on Monday afternoon, the Farmers got into a scuffle with security while trying to push their way into the LaSalle County Courthouse on Etna Road. 1 officer was checked out at OSF in Ottawa. The altercation was filmed by the so-called Accountability Angel, Angel Farmer's nickname. She says her rights were violated and that she was battered and kidnapped during the ordeal. Rod Thorson this past week talked to her brother, Jacob Farmer of Morris, and then on Friday, Angel called in. And what you're going to hear today is most of that interview. I've had to cut some things for time and some things for clarity. I'm also going to drop in comments of my own as we go.
What's the nature of the complaint that you wanted to submit to LaSalle County?
The nature of this one was against Sheriff Tom Templeton for failure to act when he saw his court officer, Kurt Pastrick, I think it is the former Streeter police chief. And that man decided after he refused to, do any screens on me, and they told me that it was not against the law to film in the building, only against the policy. I went through anyway when they refused to let me in. I just walked on through, and he decided to almost bear hug me in a way, like use his whole body all up on me. and I signed a battery complaint against him through Ottawa Police Department. Well, they have now decided to sign a battery complaint against me, even though he made contact with me when he wasn't lawfully acting.
Okay, but that's the complaint there. But when you were there earlier to submit a complaint, what was that complaint about?
That's when I was there. The day they decided to falsely arrest us, I was there for the complaint on that. And I was turning in Sheriff Templeton because he was right there hiding behind the glass, wouldn't come out to talk. And he just walked away when he saw that man do that to me. So I was turning in Sheriff Templeton for failure to act and for also violating Title 18 U.S.C. Section 241, Title 18 U.S.C. Section 242, Title 18 Section 245, and Title 42 U.S.C. Section 14141.
Huh.
And also violations of the First, Fourth, and I believe 14th Amendments.
So what she is saying is she's acting under 3 amendments, the First, Fourth, and 14th. The first one, freedom of speech, religion, the press, allows for peaceful protest, and allows you to petition the government. The fourth protects against unreasonable search and seizure. The 14th Amendment is interesting, says that anyone born in the United States is a U.S. citizen. It was meant to establish the citizenship of slaves during Reconstruction. It was one of several amendments, 3 of them, that passed to try to deliver civil rights to the black population of the U.S. after the Civil War. She cites 4 civil rights laws. The first one she cites, according to the Duke Law Journal, was designed to punish traditional civil rights crimes such as those committed by the KKK and similar organizations that sprung up after the Civil War. It has since been used to prosecute local law enforcement officials who abuse their authority. The second statute that she cites makes it a crime for any person acting under any jurisdiction, federal agent, state police, county sheriffs, local police, to willfully deprive or cause to be deprived from any person any rights under the Constitution. The third civil rights law that she cites prevents intimidation. And finally, the last one she rattled off, Title 42 U.S.C. Section 14141, protects the civil rights of kids, juveniles. I don't know how that applies. Okay.
How long have you been a self-proclaimed activist in this way? How long have you been acting as a watchdog? How many months or years?
It's in my 4th month, I believe, the day I got kidnapped on the 8th.
Oh, 4 months. So in those 4 months, how many Freedom of Information requests in total have you submitted approximately to different agencies?
I don't know, probably 20 or more from everybody. I mean, I've gone several places around the state.
Yeah, I know you've. I've seen some of your videos.
I'm going to quickly interrupt here. A FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act, is something that I've filled out a couple of times. It takes a little bit of effort on this end to do it. It's meant as a very strong option of getting information from an entity, say a city or a county or state, whatever. The time it takes a respondent to respond to those FOIA requests is the problem, because there's a time limit to responding to FOIA requests. I have never filed a FOIA request lightly because I knew it was going to take resources away from other things that entity had to do. And to me, it always seemed like a nuclear option. By God, you will share this information and you will do it in this amount of time. Legal. Allowed. Necessary. You're listening to the highlights of an on-air phone call that host Rod Thorson had Friday morning on the air with the accountability angel, Angel Farmer of Peru. This is For the Record. I'm morning anchor Tom Henson on 103.9 WLPO.
You have been asked by a number of people when you're entering a building, who are you with or what's the nature of your visit? And you say, I'm media. Do you consider yourself media?
Absolutely. According to what they say that the news media is, as long as you post it at regular intervals, and it can be digital, it can be anything. But yes, I do consider myself that, and I have plenty of people that look forward to seeing the videos.
I don't care if you have 100 million subscribers to a YouTube channel. That doesn't make you a journalist. Doesn't make you a member of the news media. You want to tell me that everybody walking around with a smartphone is a member of the news media? By what right? There's no certification, of course, to be a member of the news media. You don't have to have a license. You have to have some common sense of judgment, a sense of what's really a big story and what isn't, an ability to tell a story in a way that is easily understood. You have to be fair. You have to be ethical. Maybe she's a citizen journalist. She's not a journalist. And she gives us all a bad name when she claims to be. When a scene is caused at the LaSalle County Courthouse by people who claim to be journalists, it hurts the hard work that we do every day as legitimate journalists to build relationships, to get information without going nuclear. To simply understand that you don't have to have an adversarial relationship with those you're covering. You're just covering. You have to cover with a chip on your shoulder and an attitude.
So what it looks like to me, though, and by the way, this is the accountability angel. You see her on YouTube, and she does have a fair number of people that follow it.
I was kidnapped by LaSalle County Sheriff's Office on Monday, and so was my brother.
You seem to be intentionally provoking, or to be you're intentionally provocative when it comes to these government buildings.
Absolutely not. I would love for you to explain to me how you feel that way.
Well,
I would love to hear it, because I hear that a lot, and I don't understand.
You are claiming some victim status, though. I mean, you say that,
I am a victim, and so is my brother. We were kidnapped. Our property was taken, unlawfully held. I have proof that they lied on their search warrant as well, trying to pretty much trick the judge. And it seems like they were able to do so by their lies. But they claim that they wanted video footage from my body camera and the cell phone from March 8th from an incident inside by the metal detectors. I never made it inside. I was outside when they kidnapped me, and I was outside the entire time because they were impeding my movement.
So as she's talking about this incident from last Monday, she's talking about having a cell phone video going and a body cam video. Where's a body cam? Unless you're trying to not just document something, but try to find something worth documenting. Try to find some offense. That's provocative behavior. Okay.
Are you planning on filing a lawsuit against the county? I mean, kidnapping.
Absolutely. I was working on getting it all set up to begin with when they decided to arrest me, and they knew that.
How have you been damaged? Has this cost you anything?
Well, I mean, my reputation.
It looks like if anybody's reputation here is being damaged, it's legitimate journalists' reputations, because she's making it harder for us to do our job. To say nothing, of course, of the law enforcement officers she's naming. Okay.
And I already have PTSD, so when he did that, it was absolutely horrifying.
Where'd you get PTSD from?
Come on, man, don't even ask that.
No, are you...
It's diagnosed, though. It's diagnosed.
Oh, are you a veteran?
No.
Oh, okay, so it's not military service related, but you have PTSD.
There's definitely other degrees of PTSD.
Well, I don't doubt that. Okay. Commonly known as post-traumatic stress disorder and diagnosed amongst veterans, combat veterans. I didn't know if you were in the military or not.
You know, Accountability Angel sent a text to the radio station after the interview saying, "Shame on you, Rod, for questioning someone's PTSD." Now, I don't think he was doing that. I think he was generally surprised by what she said. I think that it is true that there are other forms of PTSD, too, among people who maybe never served a day in their lives.
Hey, would you do this? Let me know if and when you retain legal counsel.
Oh, I am not letting you know anything about the legal counsel, but it's definitely handled.
What do you mean handled? What do you mean handled?
It's handled. They will see. They will see what they've done wrong.
Is your phone ringing with lawyers just begging to represent you?
I got something, man. Let me tell you. Listen to me.
Hey, no, wait a minute. That almost sounds like a veiled threat. Is everybody safe here? I mean, really, I mean...
Listen to me. Why are you trying to say anything about threat? Where was the threat?
Well,
I've heard that before.
All right, so apparently Rod Thorson isn't the only person who thought that she might be making a threat. She said she's heard it before. Just like, as you heard, she's heard it before that she acts provocatively. Interesting.
Do you feel like you're planning on respecting this system?
I absolutely respect the system.
Okay.
Now, of course, Angel and her brother will have their day in court, and we're going to find out more about the incident when that happens. But it looks to me like she's of the same mind of many hardcore people who understand that they have rights and generally have a good grasp of what those rights are. And then they scream about their rights being violated when professional law enforcement acts as they can be expected to act. It's a building that houses criminals, suspected criminals, the officers charged with keeping vigilant to keep them and the public safe. And there's courtrooms and there are bailiffs and elected officials and employees and everyday citizens with business at the courthouse. Shouldn't you exercise a little bit of common sense, especially with how raw things are right now, barely 2 months after the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol? No one is saying you don't have the right to be there, but if you present yourself provocatively or in a way that's unclear or unusual or suspicious to the people whose job it is to protect the building and the people in it, shouldn't there be consequences? And you try to justify your actions by wrapping yourself in a title, news media. And of course, the people who behave badly this way are the ones who are the loudest in accusing journalists of being fake news. Yeah, that's right. We're fake news, but you're legitimate news media. Do they not see the irony? Folks, people like this aren't being denied their rights. They're begging for attention. The kind of attention you get on YouTube with a branding type nickname that has accountability in it. And 9,000 followers plus. You see, behaving badly is good for clicks. Back now to present time. So I would wish for the so-called accountability angel and her brother to grow up and recognize that doing things just because you can doesn't mean you should.